All right, welcome to Reality Podcast, where we tap into reality by challenging unpopular opinions. How are y'all doing today? I'm doing pretty good. Life been lifing, but here I am. All right, so today I want to talk a little bit about music. I don't know. I think music has been changing. Like I guess the dynamics of the whole thing due to like increased technology and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I love music. I'm a big music lover. But I did want to speak on this topic because this is just something that I have been noticing, I've been observing, more so. Some of my favorite artists growing up, I'm more of an old school type of person. My parents are old school. Like we got like a 40-year-old age gap between me and my parents. So, and I grew up as a only child. So I mainly listened to what they listened to, which was like old school R&B, soul, stuff like that. Which kind of blows me because now that TikTok and all that's become a thing, everybody like, oh, I'm a '90s baby. I like '90s music. I listen to na. When I was young, when it was BYOB days, and oh wait, no, not BYOB, BYOD. Sorry, bring your own device days in school, middle school, elementary school. I would not want to bring my iPod because it was like kids would like want to be like, oh Taylor, what you listen to? And it would be like Luther Vandross, Keith Sweat, Cut Clothes, OJ's, New Edition. Like it was like always older people, and they be like, "Why are you listening to old music?" But now all of a sudden it's popping now. But we ain't gonna get into that. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. But we have a new age where certain trends are more popular now, and my question is like, who do kids have to look up to? Um, Children are the future, and they go by what they see. And for me growing up, even though I did listen to a lot of older music, I was still into people like Mindless Behavior, Jacob Lattimore, OMG Girls, and stuff like that. Like even Nicki Minaj and Chris Brown, like even though they were older, they still appealed to a younger audience. So I think now we don't really have that. So even like up until now, and even back a long time ago, we've always had child stars and stuff like that. But my question is also, when is it too like bubblegum pop, and then when is it like too trap or too inappropriate for kids to be talking about? So this leads into my unpopular opinion. My unpopular opinion is people are so invested into pop culture and music that certain things are overlooked and acceptable. And I think the aspect of the childhood nostalgia, like those days are gone now, and I think we're beginning to lose that essence due to the monopoly, if you will, of trends that are occurring within the music industry. The gangster rap, the wannabe thugs, like we need to just cancel that. Like I know this page, I mean this podcast, we trying not to cancel stuff, but that I don't agree with that because I feel like that shouldn't be glamorized. And don't get me wrong, like I get it. Like when it comes to rap, a lot of it is therapeutic for a lot of hip hop artists where they're talking about the things they're going through and what they have to do in order to survive and things like that. So I do understand that, but as a child, I think nowadays it's beginning to be glamorized instead of it being just more of a, hey, this is what it is. Like people are making like, how can I word it? It's like you can't rap if you're not rapping about that stuff, you know? And I think rap already kind of consistently shows black people in opposing ways, like drugs and gangs and misusing women, all that stuff. And not all rap is that. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is it's already, it has a negative outlook to it, which is unfortunate. But I think like I said, children go by what they see. So if that's the thing that's popping, and there's young artists that want to rap and they want to do these things, that's what they're gonna do. And another thing, I feel like it's okay for boys to do it. Like if a girl was coming up here talking about, yeah, I got a wop and I'm pretty. Y'all be like, oh, yeah, y'all calling out the mom. If a girl came out and did it, y'all calling out the mom, y'all calling out the girl, y'all calling out the dad, y'all calling out everybody. But it's okay for a young black boy to talk about guns and doing 100 miles and hunting them down. It's okay for that. Well, we're going to get into it today, right? So I'm going to go all the way back. So a child star that a lot of people think of is Bow Wow. Like he was the youngest to ever make certain amount, like the accomplishment that
You do.
The accomplishments that he made, he was like the youngest one to ever. I think he was like 6. He was on like a Snoop Dogg album and everything. Snoop Dogg was the one that found him like in the late 90s. And he was rapping pretty explicitly. But I think, Jermaine Dupri, when Jermaine Dupri took him in, he realized that he's still a child. And his thoughts was, at least in my opinion, was how can I appeal to his roughness and appeal to that edge of hip hop while also not exploiting his innocence, and he did that very successfully. Like Bow Wow really, I know Bow Wow get a lot of like, people be cracking on Bow Wow and stuff, but he really did pave the way for a lot of things. And I'm gonna give him his flowers, honestly. And there's a lot of other artists that did this successfully, like Criss Cross. There was another Bad Creation. I'm gonna throw Roxanne Shante in there. I think she was like 14 when she came out. This was all before I was born, but still, we get into a theory here, right? But all these artists, they were able to. Jermaine Dupri was able to figure, or he made the realization like these kids aren't going to be buying these albums. It's the parents that's going to be buying the albums for the kids. So if a parent buy an album and they see a young kid cussing on it and doing all this on it, most likely 9 times out of 10 they're not going to buy it. But they know they're the ones that's buying the concert tickets to see, Bow Wow and all these other child acts. So not only them being child stars, not only does that appeal to other children and other people their age, adults and parents that are taking their children to see it, they're enjoying the show too, because the music, they're bops, there's bops there. So it's an enjoyable experience for everybody. I even remember when the rap game was a thing, and I love the rap game. Like I remember going to that concert, seeing Lotto and Monty and Be More Like Key and Roscoe, like just seeing all these people. Like, it was just a really fun experience. And I remember on one of the episodes, one of the rappers was rapping about, I don't know, having a house on a hill and popping bottles or something. And Jermaine Dupri was like, no, like that's not what we doing here. You're too young to be doing all that. You don't even know what you're talking about. No, you did not follow the assignment. So Jermaine Dupri always, like, that's why I really do respect him, because he has an ear for music and he understands way more outside of the music. Like, he thinks about the consequences and everything that ties into it, especially when it comes to children. So I think that kind of does explain why they had so many, well, Bow Wow and all these other younger artists, they had successful careers back in the day because of that, because of the understanding of who their audience is, regardless if they want to rap about that or not. The music appeals to the artist, but it also in a way appealed to them too, because Jermaine Dupri and these other producers were able to come up with music that fit them and that they were okay with talking about and things like that. The only people I will say in hip hop that probably got away with it, and I could be missing some people, but Lil Wayne, like, I think he was 14 in Hot Boys. He was, Lil Wayne is Lil Wayne. And Crime Mob. I didn't know Crime Mob was that young, for real. Like, I remember there was an interview where Diamond was talking about how she wanted to be on the Majorette team or something, and she was like, yeah, I had to miss that because we were going on tour and we had to go to studio sessions and stuff like that. Like, they were in Atlanta, like kids, like high school kids, 15, 16, and they do not sound like they were that that young, for real. So I would have never known that until like kind of like recently. But yeah, those were probably the only people I can think of that actually had like they had good music, but it didn't cause such a stir, for real, that they were so young, because they were bops. I want to move into children in the R&B space, because R&B and hip hop are two like different things. I think mainly what makes it different is that it's singing, is melodies, and it's like, you know like I said, children take after what they see. So pop and R&B singers back in that time, children wanted to appeal to that as well. And it's like, I think it was easier to finagle that, in my opinion, because it's just more sultry and, it's whatever. But if you really listen to it and you read between the lines, they was really on some different type of timing. Because I think rap is just so blunt. Like, you got to say what you're trying to say. But with R&B, you know, you can come up with different puns and phrases, and you know what I mean. What you want to mean, like B2K bump. We know what y'all were talking about. I actually think I remember reading something or watching a podcast where somebody was talking about how instead of it being "Let me see that body go," it was supposed to be "Let me see that booty go." Kind of glad they changed that because that probably would have been a little bit too much. Usher as well. I think this is his sophomore album. He kind of changed, and that I think that did cause a little bit of stir because people were like, you know, he's too young to be talking about this type of stuff. Like, you know, I don't know, but he was solid. Like Usher was in his bag, and you know he learned some stuff from the Diddy camp. I'm not gonna get too much down that rabbit hole, but no Usher slander here. But I do love Usher. But yeah, like Usher appealed to it, especially Mario. Mario was on some different type of timing. He got this song called "Braid My Hair." Come braid my hair. He talk about you can put your I'm gonna put my head between your legs and you gonna braid it front to the side, change positions like Mario. I know what you was on. 20 years later, I got you. But but still, like I really appreciate it, and I really have to say the producers and the writers like with Scott Storch and Warren Campbell and Babyface, L.A. Reid, like all these people, they were able to come up with unique ways for these like child artists to get their point across without getting their point across. You know what I mean? It's youthful and it's relatable to kids, and I just think that just so unique and it's so witty. You know, I think another thing that these producers and writers understood was even back further. A lot of boy bands and girl groups and stuff, they felt conflicted with the bubblegum pop thing and like, okay, you gotta make these songs for the audience because that's what I was going into when exploiting their innocence. When New Edition is a good example where they were talking about we were singing about Candy Girl and Cool It Now and all that other stuff. We was 15, 16, getting girls pregnant. We doing drugs. We doing all the, you know, all that stuff that these real R&B, we doing all the stuff, the grown people stuff. Like we living a grown life. So why can't we sing about grown teens, you know? But they were just, I guess the label was just so instant. No, like this is where the money is, but they outgrew that. And I think it was the same like New Edition, New Kids on the Block, Aaron Carter, like that era where it was just like really, really bubblegum, NSYNC. But NSYNC's kind of different because I feel like they was in their Boys to Men kind of bag too. So I guess they were kind of different. But you know what I mean? Like a lot of them felt conflicted because they couldn't really be themselves. And it was hard for them to transition out of that. And we've seen people succeed and fail with transitioning, like Amanda Bynes, uh, Britney Spears, and even when it's in speaking on that, girls are very different. Like I feel like I said, girls, the women expectations in the music industry in comparison to men, that's a whole nother conversation. But I feel like back then, people like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and like all these people, they were innocent, but they were still marketed in like sexy ways. Weird, like it's like labels had ways of finagling things to where they're not that vulgar, but you can kind of like once you really look at it and evaluate it, it's like that's kind of whatever. But yeah, even I think Leon Thomas talked about this in one of his interviews. He was like when he was on Victorious, him and Ariana Grande, they were young, they were teenagers, but they were Frank Ocean was big around that time, and they kind of wanted to appeal to that. They didn't really want to do the child thing.
Around the time when the song started becoming, really successful, we were like 17, 18, listening to Frank Ocean, this and that, and it's like stuff for kids, and it started to feel like, okay, if we start touring now, we're setting ourselves up to be doing this for the next 2.5 years, and specifically in this one market. We were definitely trying to like take a stab at this music stuff in a very real way, and we knew brand was a big part of it. Mind you, we missed out on millions of dollars, but we also made millions of dollars after the fact by having a brand that was true to us.
Yeah. Another unpopular opinion is like when you become an artist, in a way it becomes less about you because you have to gain an audience. Like once you're certified, you can probably do whatever you want to do. You already got a solid fan base, so it's whatever. But it's like, especially when you're a child, you have to develop that fan base. You have to develop that fandom of people that's always going to support you and like your music, but you have to obtain it first. You know what I mean? So it might be childish stuff, but you just have to know your place. And I feel like personally, I like it better when they do know that place, and then as they grow up, like as I grow up, and then as they grow up, it's more synchronous or whatever that word is. I hope I said it right. But you know what I mean? Like it makes your fan base closer to you because they're literally seeing you grow into a bigger artist. Like Chris Brown. You know, Chris Brown for sure had hits like Running and Give Me That and all that when he was young, and they're bops. Like everybody likes those songs to this day. And even though he did have a rocky transition, he's still very prominent today, and he used it to his advantage. So, and a lot of his fan bases grew with him, you know. So I think it can work and it can't work, but as long as you play it right, you good. Okay, so now I want to get into some actual examples of what I'm talking about, right? The main reason why this is beginning to happen is because the music industry, I feel like, is becoming too merged. Like there's no separation between ages and yeah, there's no distinct separation between ages. And what I mean, like, because we don't have the Miles Behaviors and Justin Bieber's and OMG Girls, like all these people now. The only thing that's prominent are people, you know, Ghana and Lil Baby and I don't know, NBA Youngboy. Like that's just what people are looking up to. And I really think the decline of dance crazes is what really prompted this to happen. Because I remember, you know, when it was Silento and Ayo and Teo, like that was still very youthful. But eventually, when that started dying off, and like NBA YoungBoy came up and NLE Chopper came up, they were young. I think they were 16, 17, so they were teen. I think they were kind of more grown, but they were still teenagers. Now kids are following up after that, so I think that's really when that essence kind of changed. That dynamic changed. But yeah, like now, like child rappers are cussing and they smoking weed in the music video. They in clubs and strippers dancing behind them. Like it's just kind of crazy. Like it's at a point where I don't know. It's like, where's your mama at? Like, is this okay? Like, am I going? Sometimes I feel like I'm gonna catch a charge listening to the music, you know? Because as for conspiracy, you know, I mean, I don't know, and they really need to be careful because especially what's going on with Young Thug and that they using his lyrics to frame him and all that. You better be careful because you end up in that situation, and now they asking who gave this little boy weed, who gave this little boy some Patron in the back, what's going on, you know, like y'all gonna end up in some serious trouble. One example I want to talk about is Lil 50. Lil 50 is a great rapper. He got this song called Young and Ruthless. I love that song. Like anytime I'm feeling sad or I'm about to go get up and get it, I turn that song on. I gotta go get it and flip it. Like that song, he wrote on that. And he rides on a lot of his music. A lot of his music is really good. But he looks so freaking young. Like he looks like he's like 12. And no shade, like when I stand up, people might think I look 12 too. But it's like I've seen interviews where he's just smoking and just.
How old are you?
I'm 15. I mean 16.
15. Jesus Christ. I'm just gonna look over here and act like I don't see anything being smoked. Maybe we can blur it out. Dear Lord, how long have you been smoking for?
Another example I feel like is Lil King. I'm gonna be honest, Lil King is probably like one of the worst, in my opinion, the worst examples of this I've seen. I didn't come across him through his rap career. I mainly came across him. He was on I think he was on Instagram Live with Finesse 2 Times. He's Finesse 2 Times nephew, I believe, but he's a rapper. And he was on live and he was talking to this guy and he was like, "Your breath smell like blacks." And all the guys in the back were just laughing. I was like, how does he know what that is? And you know, he be shooting dice and it's just very crazy. And what even makes it even more crazy to me is like it just flows out of him naturally. Like when he's rapping, he's just saying these cuss words and just talking very inappropriately. See, saying things about women and stuff.
Ooh, that's your bitch. Lil' King wanna hit. One time, then I pass her to the whole clip. She sucked that back.
It just rolls off his tongue. So it gives me the impression that he's around a lot of men that act the same way. And he does it, and he's comfortable enough to do it around them. So since he's comfortable to do it around them, they think it's cute, they think it's funny, they think it's lit, or whatever. Now he's beginning to do it publicly, and there hasn't really. I just don't like it. I don't think it's okay. It's just inappropriate, and I think it's unfortunate because I do think he is talented. I just don't think this is the route. But I just think all that's a little inappropriate because it makes me think, how do you know about that? Like there was one song I think he said talking about a girl going down on him. Who was she? Your age? I mean, I don't hope, but I hope neither one of y'all are doing it. I hope somebody just wrote that and was like, say it, and he just said it. Because if he is going to do that, that's some serious stuff, and somebody might need to check in on that. Like I said, I keep telling y'all, like, I be feeling like I'm gonna go to jail for conspiracy for listening to this stuff, because I'm like, I know this stuff is not okay to be rapping about at all. Lastly, I want to get into is Lil RT.
Didn't say I'm on the 9.
He's the most like popular ones now. Now, mind you, these aren't the only kids. You know, there were some other kids. I think when I was in high school, there was some kids coming out rapping, and it was hard. Like it was really hard, but it's just beginning to continue now, and I think it's kind of getting old to me. Lil RT, he's the most famous one. Or the most popular one now. I don't know how old he is. Let me look up how old Lil RT is. He was born in 2014. Oh my gosh. 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So he's 10. Dang, 2014? But anyway, yeah, Lil RT, he has this song called, I think it's called 60 Miles or something. And it blew up because people were like, dang, this little kid is talking about this. And the music video was very disturbing and all that. And one thing that did make me happy was when Kai invited him to his stream. Now, when I first heard the song, I was immediately shook. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I saw I saw like this video, and it was kind of funny. They put Drake's son Adonis on there rapping, and then it switched to him, 100 miles, we gonna shoot him dead, we gonna take him down. But it was funny. But I actually did listen to the actual song, and I was like, this is very crazy. But going back to what I was saying before, Kai invited him to his live stream, and he came in hard a little bit. He was like, I don't play with toys. I don't play with toys. Da, da, da. And Kai was like, well, you better get used to it, because you ain't going to be playing with no guns and nothing like that here. No. And it was just so refreshing to see, like, how much of a child he really is, because Kai bought him so many. I think he bought him like 6, 7 different things. But even in the midst of it, like after every toy he was getting, Lil RT was becoming even more excited. I think Kai had some mask in the corner or something. He was like, "Oh, I want to put on the Spider-Man mask." Like he's a kid. He said Spider-Man a few times. I think he really crazy about Spider-Man. Kai ended up getting him a PlayStation, and he was like, "Oh, you got me a PlayStation. I don't have a PlayStation." And it made me think, like, is he in an environment where they don't treat him like a kid? Like they treat him like one of them, or is he just not around other kids where he plays with kids? I don't really know his story. I would really love to know his story. Well, RT, if you want to interview, let me interview you. But yeah, because I think he can rap. I think he's talented as well. But it was just refreshing for Kai to be like, hey, nah, yeah, we're not going to be on that type of timing. And Lil RT, he was cussing on the live. He was saying cuss words, and Kai was like, bruh, stop cussing. They did have a little Nerf gun fight with Phantom. Like, it was cute. Like, I really did enjoy it. And it showed me, like, these kids really don't even know. Like, they're unaware. Like, they don't know any better. They're going by what they see, what's trending now, what's popular now. That's what they're going by. And just to be doing it. But in reality, like, they're really just kids that want to have fun, and they just want to make music. They like music. They want to make music too, but the music doesn't fit who they are as a person yet. Like, it doesn't fit their maturity level. I do want to talk about some positives though. I couldn't find a lot. So if y'all do know any good child singers and rappers out now, please comment on below. But one I did come across was 2K Really Rich. He's really good. He can flow. He can rap. He doesn't cuss. At least I haven't heard any songs where he's cussing in. Young Dylan, I think everybody knows Young Dylan. He had a show on Nickelodeon, and he's making good music. That girl Lele is as well. She's been in her bag for a minute too. I'm so happy for that girl Lele. And speaking of that girl Lele, there was actually something that blew me because she did a song with Erica Banks, I like the song, it's a good song. But I didn't like how people were coming for Erica. Like people were like, "Your verse is lame," blah blah blah. But Erica's like, "How do y'all expect me to rap? Like y'all expecting me to talk about bust it on a 16-year-old girl song? Like that's inappropriate. I'm trying to make an appropriate verse for her, and I think it was appropriate. I like the verse. I like the song. So I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I guess it's not always the team. It can be us too because we're so used to seeing music done and things being wrapped one way. Everything has been the same for so long, and I think at a certain point, at least I feel like this. I feel very overstimulated with music, overwhelmed with just so much music, and not only is it so much, a lot of it is sounding the same. And so those are three artists that I like, that are children, that are young. Yeah, if you see any more, if you know any more, comment down below. Also, there was even some of the older, what I talked about earlier with some older examples of child stars. Comment those below too. Because I wasn't trying to make this video too long. So if there's somebody I missed, yeah, let's talk about it. Comment it. So to reflect, earlier in my generation, we had Mindless Behavior, OMG Girls, and all of these people that, they had their niche, like I remember Ray Ray had the braids and the goggles, Rock Royal had the hat, Prodigy was the prodigy, Princeton had the afro with the nerd glasses. Uh, everybody had their thing. Justin Bieber, he had the little hair swoop where you had to, the boys was doing that. A lot of boys was hating on Justin Bieber in school, but all of them had that same haircut. So y'all knew what was up. Y'all knew y'all was pulling with that. So don't even try to hate on Justin Bieber. They were really trying to hate on Justin Bieber. Nah. But yeah, everybody kind of like had their niche. Like I remember on G Girls, I begged my parents 5 years straight for some Converse boots. They never bought me that. My dad ended up buying me some Team Jordans. I was like, I want the boots, but whatever. I keep reflecting back to my childhood with this episode. I'm beginning to get irritated. We got to let it go. And I think, I get it. Like I am kind of like an old soul, so I might be a little soft on this topic, but just like I said, what child nostalgia are the kids now? What are they gonna have? Like I remember so much from the childhood, and even with cartoons and stuff. But like regarding to music specifically, I can just remember so much. I remember the magazines. My dad used to bring home these magazines that had Mindless Behavior and Nicki Minaj and Jacob Lattimore and Lil Twist and just like all these different people on there. And the fandoms. Like, what do these kids have? I think another big reason why this is happening is because of artist development isn't really a thing anymore. We really need to bring artist development back, not just for kids, but for everybody, because very overstimulated with the music, very overwhelmed with the music, and not only is it a lot, it's like a lot of it is sounding the same, and then it's like I think us as an audience, we can tell when somebody is just genuinely different, but then sometimes people are trying to be different. Like with some of these child rappers, like they're trying to be different. They know it's going to get attention if they cussing or if they talking about guns or drugs. They know that's going to get an audience attention, and everybody's going to be like, "Oh, well, they can rap," because that's how I feel. A lot of these kids that I named, they can rap. They're talented, but it's not nothing that I would want my child to listen to. Matter of fact, I have a question. If you're a parent and your child said, "Hey mom, can you put on this Lil King song, or can you put on this Lil RT song?" and you've heard it, what would you think? Like, would you honestly just let your kid listen to it, or would you would you feel away? Because if you think about it, it's really no different from listening to like a lot of the older, like NBA YoungBoy and like NLE Chopper, like all these people now. If you listen to that, but still, like if you're like, children go by what they see. So if they see other kids rapping like that and talking like that, then they're gonna think it's cool to do. So as a parent, my question is, would y'all be okay with that? Speaking on that, that's why I just want to know, like, the people on these kids' team, do they understand who their audience is? Like, I don't really see adults turning their music on to listen to for fun or to get lit, because like, why? But unless it's for views, unless they're trying to do a video and be funny with listening to it and stuff like that. But who is this child's audience? And to be honest, I know this is gonna sound kind of harsh, but nobody wants to hear that from a kid. Kids do be in trouble situations like that where that is actually happening and they can relate to it, but nobody wants to hear that from a kid. It's very disturbing and it's alarming. It's like, well, dang, like, it's especially if they're rapping it in a way as they're glamorizing it. It's like, ooh, it's just a little too much. And my question is, if they're rapping about this now, like, let's say for example, they are successful and they go 2 times platinum, sell out tours, whatever. By the time they 16, it's like, why are you still rapping about this? Like, what? How? My question is, how are they gonna develop over time? How are they gonna go from that to wherever? Like, I don't know. Like, what? Like, how are they gonna change over time? Because there's no way they're gonna be rapping about that same thing over and over. And I'm not saying they can't, but it's just, I don't know. It just makes me think about it. But yeah, I mean, I guess I could be overthinking it all, but I don't know. It's just some observations I made, just like listening to music over time and being a big music head that I am. I don't know. It just makes me sit back and think about how things really have changed and how it's kind of unfortunate, But hmm, it's just a thought. But yeah, I do appreciate y'all for watching, tuning in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you, and I will see y'all next time. I hope y'all enjoyed.